I thought the cold would bury me, a trembling voice whispers as I collapse into the snow, my breath fading into the howling wind. The world turns white, and I feel my heart slow, ready to give up. But then shadows move in the blizzard. Hands pull me from the edge of death. Strangers with steady eyes and voices like the earth itself. Who are these people who saved a broken soul like me? Why would they risk everything for outcasts left to die? Stick with me, and I'll show you a story of courage, hope, and the unexpected family I found in the heart of the storm. Picture the Great Plains in the winter of the 1870s, a world swallowed by snow and silence. The wind bites like a living thing, and the cold doesn't care who you are. Out here, 5 women fight to survive, each step a battle against a blizzard that wants to bury them. They're strangers bound by nothing but the pain they carry, and they're all outcasts, thrown away by the people who should have loved them. First, there's Lila Whitecloud, a woman in her 20s with Lakota blood running through her veins, though she was raised in a settler town. She's tough, her eyes sharp with a fire that refuses to die. Her adoptive family wanted her to marry a man she didn't love, a stranger who saw her as property. When she said no, they turned on her. I can still see her standing there, watching her father burn the only things tying her to her Lakota roots: a beaded necklace, a woven blanket, her mother's journal. He called her a burden, said she'd never be one of them. Then he shut the door, leaving her to the snow. Next is Tara Dawn, a Cheyenne woman with a spirit like a wildfire. She loved her husband, a settler, but when he died, his family showed their true colors. They accused her of stealing his land she worked with her own hands. I can hear their laughter now, cruel and cold, as they locked her out of the house she called home. Tara pounded on the door, begging for mercy, but they left her with nothing, not even a coat to keep her warm. Then there's Mira Song, half-crow, with a quick smile that hides her scars. She worked for a trader, hauling supplies and learning his routes across the plains. She was good at it, maybe too good. When he decided she knew too much, he tossed her aside like an old tool. I see her standing alone at a trading post, her breath clouding in the air, her only coat torn and useless. He rode off without a glance, leaving her to fend for herself. Nia Sparrow comes next, a Lakota mother whose heart is a wound that won't heal. Missionaries came to her village, promising a better life, but they lied. They took her daughter, saying Nia wasn't fit to raise her own child. I can still hear her screams, raw and desperate, as men in black robes dragged her little girl away. Nia fell to her knees, clawing at the earth, but they didn't look back. They left her empty, with nothing but grief to carry. Last is Kaya Willow, a Shoshone healer, frail but stubborn. Her hands once saved lives, mixing herbs to ease fevers and mend wounds, but when a sickness swept through her village, she couldn't save the leader's son. They blamed her, said her failure was a curse. I see her now, curled in the snow, her body bruised from their blows. They drove her out, shouting that she'd brought death to their people. She stumbled away alone, with nowhere to go. These women found each other by chance, 5 lost souls stumbling through the storm. The plains don't care about their tears, and neither does the cold. They're starving, their feet numb, their bodies screaming to give up. But Lila won't let them. She stands at the front, her voice cutting through the wind. "The plains don't care about our tears," she says. "We walk or we die." Her words are hard, but they're true, and they keep the others moving. Step by step, they cling to each other, a fragile thread of hope holding them together. They come from different tribes, Lakota, Cheyenne, Crow, Shoshone, but out here, those names don't matter. What binds them is the same pain, the same betrayal. They're not just fighting the storm, they're fighting to prove they're worth something, to themselves and to a world that threw them away. Every step is a choice to live, and with every step, they grow stronger, even if they don't know it yet. The blizzard hasn't let up, and the women are barely holding on. Lila leads them toward a frozen river, its surface glinting under a weak sun. She thinks it's their only way forward, a bridge of ice that could save them from the endless snow. They step onto it, hearts pounding, the ice groaning under their weight. Lila moves first, testing each step, urging the others to follow. Tara grits her teeth, Mira holds her breath, Naya clutches her shawl, and Kaya, the weakest, shuffles behind. Halfway across, a crack splits the air. The ice buckles. Kaya screams as she plunges into the black water below, her hands clawing at the jagged edge. Lila dives for her, but the current is too strong. Kaya's face fades beneath the surface, and for a moment it feels like the plains have won. Then arrows slice through the storm, not to kill, but to point the way. They thud into the snow, forming a path. Shadows emerge from the blizzard, strong figures moving with purpose. Lakota warriors, their faces steady, their eyes sharp. At their front is Hakan Fireheart, a man whose presence feels like the earth itself, calm but unyielding. He kneels at the river's edge, his hands quick and sure, pulling Kaya from the water just as her strength gives out. She's gasping, blue with cold, but alive. Hakan looks at Lila, then at the others, and without a word, his warriors guide them away from the river, away from death. The women follow, too weak to question, too grateful to care where they're going. They arrive at a Lakota winter camp, a place alive with warmth and movement. Teepees glow with firelight, smoke curls into the sky, and voices hum with quiet strength. Children laugh despite the cold, and elders watch with knowing eyes. The women are taken to a teepee where Sanamoon waits, a Lakota healer whose hands move like they've known pain all their lives. She's older, her braids streaked with silver, but her gaze is kind and fierce. She wraps blankets around them, gives them broth that burns their throats with warmth. Sana tends to Kaya first, rubbing her hands with sage and cedar, whispering words that feel like a prayer. The air smells clean, holy, and for the first time in days, the women feel something like hope. Sana works tirelessly, teaching them as she heals. She shows them how to burn sage for cleansing, how cedar can calm a troubled spirit. Her voice is soft, but carries weight. The strongest trees bend in the wind, she says, but they never break. Lila listens, her heart heavy. She's Lakota by blood, but the settler town raised her, stripped her of her roots. She feels like a stranger in her own skin. Hakan notices, his eyes catching hers across the fire. "You carry your people's spirit," he says one night, "but do you know what it means?" His words sting, not because they're cruel, but because they're true. Lila doesn't answer, but the question burrows deep. The others find their own ways to heal. Tara, always restless, learns to weave baskets, her hands finding peace in the steady rhythm. She sits with the women of the camp, listening to their stories, her anger softening with each knot she ties. Mira, with her quick laugh, spends her days with the children, teaching them games she learned from her crow mother. Their giggles lift her spirit, remind her she's more than what she lost. Nia stays quiet, sitting by the fire, her fingers tracing her daughter's face in the dirt. She doesn't speak much, but her sketches hold her pain, her hope. Kaya, still frail, clings to Sana's medicines, learning to trust again. Each herb, each poultice feels like a promise that she can be whole. But the camp isn't a sanctuary forever. One evening, Lila overhears Hakan speaking with his warriors. His voice is low, troubled. Settlers are creeping closer, eyeing Lakota land, and helping strangers like us could draw their attention. Some warriors argue, their words sharp. "The women are trouble," they say. "They'll bring danger to our people." Lila's stomach twists. She knows they're right, but she also knows they can't go back to who they were. Santa finds her later, sitting alone, and shares a truth that feels ancient. "The circle of life binds us all," she says. "Human, animal, earth. To harm one is to harm yourself." Her words sink in, heavy with meaning, and Lila feels a spark of something new, a need to do more than just survive. The women gather that night, their faces lit by the fire. They've been given a second chance, but it comes with a choice. Stay hidden, safe in the camp, or face the world that broke them. Tara's hands tighten, Mira's smile fades, Naya's eyes burn, and Kaya breathes deep. Lila looks at them, her voice steady. "We've been running long enough," she says. "It's time to decide what we stand for." The fire crackles, and in that moment, they know their path isn't just about them anymore. Something bigger is calling, and they're starting to listen. The fire in the Lakota camp burns low, but the women's resolve is growing stronger. They've tasted safety, felt the warmth of belonging, but they know they can't hide forever. One evening, Lila slips into Hakan's teepee to return a borrowed blanket and spots something that stops her cold. A map spread across a table, marked with lines cutting through the Black Hills, the sacred heart of Lakota land. Settlers plan to drive a railroad right through it, tearing up the earth for profit. Her hands shake as she traces the lines, anger rising. She thinks of everything taken from her, from all of them, and makes a choice. She gathers the others, her voice steady but fierce. "They took everything from us," she says. "Let's make sure they don't take from these people, too." Tara nods, her eyes hard. Mira cracks a determined smile. Nia's gaze sharpens, and Kaya, though still weak, lifts her chin. They're in. Hakan hesitates when they tell him their plan. His duty is to his people, and risking a fight with settlers could cost everything. But Sana, the healer, speaks up. "The circle of life binds us," she reminds him. "These women are part of it now." Hakan looks at Lila, sees the fire in her, and agrees to teach them. The next days are a blur of sweat and focus. The women train with the Lakota, learning to move like shadows. Tara, with her Cheyenne blood, tracks paths through the snow like she was born to it, her steps silent, her eyes sharp. Mira, raised on Crow trade routes, maps out the settlers' supply lines, pointing out weak spots with a grin. Naya learns to shoot a bow, her hands steady despite the ache in her heart. Kaya, too frail for heavy work, mixes herbs for the warriors, her healer's touch a quiet strength. Lila rides alongside Hakan, her Lakota spirit waking with every gallop, every arrow she looses. She's clumsy at first, but she doesn't quit, and Hakan's rare nod feels like a victory. Under the cover of night, they strike. The women and a handful of warriors slip toward the settlers' camp, where wagons groan with tools and food for the railroad. No one speaks. The air is thick with purpose. Tara leads them through a hidden trail, her tracking flawless. Mira points to the supply wagons, unguarded in the moonlight. They move fast, scattering tools into the brush, dumping sacks of grain into the snow. Lila pries open a crate, her heart racing, while Naya keeps watch, bow drawn. Kaya stays back, her breath shallow, but her eyes bright, ready to signal if trouble comes. They don't touch the settlers, don't draw blood. Sana's words echo in their minds. Strength is not in killing, but in protecting what matters. The sabotage is quick, clean, a message that the land won't bend so easily. As they sift through the wreckage, Naya finds something that makes her freeze. A leather journal, half buried in a crate. She opens it, her fingers trembling, and sees her daughter's name written in a missionary scrawl, along with a place a mission miles away. Her breath catches, hope and pain colliding. Lila grips her shoulder, whispering, "We'll get her back." Naya nods, clutching the journal like a lifeline, her purpose reborn. They slip back to the camp before dawn, hearts pounding with triumph, but the fight isn't over yet. Days later the settlers come, their boots crunching through the snow, their voices loud with anger. They stand at the edge of the Lakota camp, demanding the women be handed over, calling them thieves, troublemakers. The air grows tight, hands hovering near weapons. Hakan steps forward, his warriors at his back, but it's Lila who speaks first. She walks to the front, her voice clear, cutting through the cold. "I am not your property," she says, "and neither is this land. I am Lakota, and I stand with my people." The settlers falter, surprised by her fire, her truth. Tara glares beside her. Mira's hand rests on a knife. Naya's eyes burn, and Kaya, though unsteady, stands tall. Hakan raises a hand, his warriors closing ranks, their presence a wall of strength. The settlers see they're outnumbered, outmatched, and one by one they back away, their threats fading into the wind. The camp falls quiet, but something has shifted. The women look at each other, their breaths visible in the cold, and realize this wasn't about settling scores. It was about preserving life, their own and the Lakotas. They fought not as victims, but as allies, earning the respect of the camp. Hakan meets Lila's gaze, his nod small, but heavy with pride. Sana watches from her teepee, a faint smile on her lips. The women stand a little straighter, their hearts a little lighter. They've reclaimed something deeper than land or revenge, themselves. And for Nia, that journal holds a promise, a chance to bring her daughter home. The fight has changed them, and they know they'll never be outcasts again. The snow still blankets the plains, but the air feels lighter now, like the world is ready to breathe again. The women stand together one last time in the Lakota camp, their faces softer, their eyes brighter. They've fought, they've healed, and they've found something worth carrying forward. Each of them knows this isn't the end, but a beginning, a chance to live on their own terms. Lila makes her choice first. She stays with the Lakota, her heart finally home. She sits with the elders, learning their words, their songs, the stories of her ancestors. Every phrase she speaks feels like a step toward the mother she never knew, a vow to keep her heritage alive. Tara, fierce as ever, decides to return to Cheyenne lands. She packs her horse with gifts from the Lakota, woven blankets and carved beads, tokens to rebuild what was taken. Her smile is sharp, ready for whatever comes next. Mira feels the pull of the West, where her Crow family might still be. The Lakota taught her what unity means, and she carries that lesson like a flame, hoping to find her people and belong again. Nia holds the missionary's journal tight, her daughter's name a heartbeat in her chest. Sana gave her a prayer before she left. "May the wind carry you to those you love." Nia whispers it now, her steps steady as she sets out to bring her girl home. Kaya, stronger than before, chooses a new path. She'll teach others to heal, mixing Shoshone herbs with Lakota wisdom, her hands ready to mend broken bodies and spirits. On the final morning, Lila climbs a hill alone, the plains stretching wide before her. The sun rises, painting the snow gold, and she feels the earth hum beneath her feet. Hakan joins her, his voice quiet but sure. "The plains test us," he says, "but they also teach us. You've found your path." Lila nods, tears in her eyes, not from sadness, but from knowing she's whole again. As the horizon glows, her voice carries one last thought. "We came here broken, but we leave whole." The Lakota showed us that home isn't a place. It's the people who see you, truly see you, and choose to stand by your side. The wind stirs, gentle now, carrying their stories into the dawn. They're scattered but not lost, each woman walking toward a future she's chosen for herself. The plains watch, silent and vast, holding their secrets close.